All right, that's the first coat, and check it out. Came out pretty awesome. Looking real good. We definitely need a second coat, but all things considered, I think that came out terrific. So. What's up, guys? Joel with Motors and Mischief. Welcome to the channel. Behind me here, and here, and here, is our Project F-250 that we purchased for $200 that we've been working on restoring. In the last episode, we worked on repairing the rust, and we got a lot of nice work done on that. Floorboards replaced, all that metal fixed up. We also got the engine reinstalled after getting that all cleaned up and ready to go. Got the frame painted and everything all good there. So next step, what we're working on today is we want to put Raptor Liner on the cab. And actually we're gonna put it on the whole truck. So we're gonna put it in quite a few places because it's great stuff. We love it. We've had fantastic luck with it. It goes on super easy and yeah, it works just really well. So today's episode is all about putting that Raptor liner on it. Now, we want to put it in a couple of different places. We're actually going to put it on the bottom of the cab, on the inside of the cab, on the rocker panels on the truck, on the back of the cab, on the back of the bed, on the inside of the bed, and on the bed rails. First thing we're going to do today is we need to get a few things cleaned up on the cab. We're going to do that. Once that's done, we're going to stand the cab up so that it's laying on its back. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that because we just put brand new cab corners in it and got all the bodywork cleaned up on that. So the last thing I want to do is roll it over on its back and mess up the bodywork that we done on that. So I got to figure out a way to pivot it. All right, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff done off camera. Let me show you. We got everything cleaned up out of the inside of the cab here. And then, since we have to flip it up on its back, because what I want to be able to do is stand it upright so that we can shoot the bottom of it, which there's a ton of that not rust, that's like, so it's an underbody coating, that's what it is, it's an underbody coating. It's this crap right here. So this has been sprayed all over it. It's some sort of wax, but it didn't do a good job protecting the rust because there's a whole bunch of rust right where it was. So the whole bottom of the truck is covered with that. So we're gonna have to get all of that off of there because we need a good prepped surface to be able to put our Raptor liner on. So in order to flip this thing back, what we've done is we have bolted these 2x4s through the seat bolts using these lag bolts or through the seat bolt holes. So those are reinforced pretty well. And then if you look underneath here, this is running alongside the frame. Don't pay any attention to those pliers. We're going to pop those off. That was just to hold it while we were drilling. But I think that's going to be strong enough to hold this while we lift up the front of it with the engine hoist. It might not be. It might just rip those out, or it might dent the body of the truck. I don't really care. This is, I think, going to work just fine, and we'll try it out. If it gets dented or it doesn't work or messes up, then we'll stop and we'll fix any damage and we'll figure out another way to do it. We need to clean, or not clean, we need to sand all of this so that it's ready to go, because I don't want to just try to do it while it's sitting on its back. So we'll get all this prepped. We'll hit any of the spots that have got any kind of rust with the rust reversal stuff. We're sanded everything down. It's all good to go. But we will go ahead and hit that. Prime any bare metal. All right, quick update. I think the main reason why this truck has got so much rust issues, so many rust issues, is because of Ford. This, look what I discovered back here as I was cleaning up. We had a couple minor little rust problems right here. And then I started picking at it, and that everything underneath that seam sealer in the back of this truck was covered in, was rusty. So it's all rusting between the panels there. So somehow Ford managed to seal in water or let water in from the bottom, I guess. Maybe they didn't seem to the bottom. I don't know, but thanks a lot, Ford. Appreciate it. If you guys watch the channel and you watch our Raptor footage, you guys know we swear by and at Ford trucks. So anyway, and then we're ready to go ahead and try to flip this thing up on its back so we can get to spraying the Raptor liner. All right, let's get back to it. All right, guys, it's a couple days later. I had to go take care of some stuff, and one thing turned into another, and now it's been a couple days. So we did get the cab lifted up, and now we've got it supported. And I know that it looks a little crazy, but I assure you it's safe. For those of you who are concerned about my safety, let's go over what we did here. We have built a crib that will actually support this thing. It is nice and safe. We have 4.5-inch lag bolts going through the body and into the 2x4s that are running down both sides. Those lag bolts have a shear strength of about 10,000 pounds. So there's 4 of those, nice and safe. Then to hold this up, we've got this 2x6 braced across here. We've got additional lag bolts in here that are holding that. And again, these are slightly smaller. Oh no, these are slightly smaller than the ones that we used on the thing, but they're still shear strength of about 6,000 pounds each. There's 2 of those. And then we've got this all supported with these, let's see, that's 4,000 pounds on this side, 4,000 pounds on that side. This whole cab weighs maybe 500 pounds. So we have plenty of strength. We've got the top all ready to go. We'll have to mask off for that, but we do need to get the bottom prepped. It is covered with this crap, which I'm still not sure what it is, but it scratches off pretty easy. So I don't super trust it to hold the Raptor liner on. I wish it wasn't on there. We might end up having to just rough it up and spray the Raptor liner on it and see how it goes, because it may be next to impossible to get it all off of there, and I don't want to spend 2 or 3 years doing that. I'd like to get this cab back on the truck and move on to the next steps. So I think we need to take, we've got this, you can see right there, we've got this heat shield. I think that heat shield needs to be drilled out because I don't want to Raptor liner the heat shield. So we'll Raptor liner, we'll drill it out, we'll Raptor liner underneath it, and then we'll paint that with some high heat paint to protect it, and that'll work great. So, all right, guys, yeah, that looks good. Let's get going. That's disgusting. I totally expected to pull a dead mouse out of there, or possibly even a live one. I'm glad that didn't happen. Okay guys, just got back from running down to our local hardware store. We did get quite a bit of good progress done on this side, as you could see, but that that stuff that's been sprayed on it, that stuff gums up the sandpaper like you wouldn't believe. So we're going through the sandpaper sheets like crazy because it's just getting all gummed up and then it won't stand anymore. So ran down to the hardware store and got ourselves some of these 40 grit. So that's a little heavier than what Raptor Liner once, but I think that's for the finish. There's no way more adhesion isn't better. So that should be just fine. We also got this, which is a 4-inch coarse wire brush. So that should be good. Oh, and picked up this because I'm tired of getting crap in my face. So that'll be super cool. And got some yummy, yummy Starbucks. All right, time to go back to work. All right, guys, so we got that all cleaned up. So we hit everything with the wire wheel, and that new wire wheel we got actually worked really great. Did a nice job flinging stuff all over the place. You can see it has made a horrific mess of the ground that we need to clean up real quick. So we're actually able to get most of that wax stuff off of there. I almost think it was something that Ford put on there because it was on the bottom of the truck above where the engine and transmission and transfer case would be. So if somebody sprayed it in afterwards, either they took the cab off like we did, or it went on when the truck was first being built. But whatever it is, didn't work very good because I found lots of rust underneath it. So in the places where it worked, it did nice. The paint was beautiful underneath it, but it wasn't like there was no rust where that stuff was. So I don't know what it was. Anyway, we went around and not only did we get it all cleaned up, we got all that crap off of it, we got all the surface rust off of it, then we went around with 40 grit sandpaper, got everything with that, and then we went around and hit everything with isopropyl alcohol, which is what we use for wax and grease remover when we're working on something like that that's gonna have a pretty rough paint job. Then, while that was going, we just now sprayed on this rusty metal primer. So this stuff is a step up from the rusty metal primer that we normally use, this rust reformer. This stuff is fantastic, it works great. This, from the same company, has twice as much rust inhibitors in it as the black stuff. So we went ahead and sprayed everywhere that had even the remotest possibility of having rust, has got this all over it. So we put like 3 coats of this. We sprayed it from both sides. We put that stuff on it before we put the metal back together. This sucker is as rust proof as we can make it because that would be terrible to do all this work and then have the rust come through the Raptor liner. So I think we've done a good job. I think that'll be all protected and good to go. So when you see the brown stuff over there, it's the double good rust inhibitor. So while that is drying, the last thing that we need to do is put this stuff on. So this is seam sealer. In the last video, or the video before that, I said panel bond a whole bunch. I meant seam sealer. Panel bond and seam sealer are different. Seam sealer is just like caulking. It goes in between metal parts. It's got a little bit of adhesion, a little bit of helping them stay together, but not really. It's mostly just to fill cracks and keep water out so that stuff doesn't rust. Panel bond, on the other hand, actually attaches panels together, and a lot of modern cars are made with panel bond. So my understanding is they use less spot welds because a lot of stuff is panel bonded together. So if this was panel bond, we would have had a lot of trouble getting things apart, but it's just seam sealer. So we're going to re-seam seal anywhere where we chunked out the seam sealer to do the repairs. There's a couple places where the seam sealer has just gotten old and it's fallen out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then that'll give the primer a chance to dry. All right, guys, it is the next day. I really wanted to spray last night, but I wanted to give the seam sealer a chance to dry. I wanted to give the primer a chance to dry. I wanted to make sure that this is going to come out absolutely perfect. So we'll be patient. Went ahead and called it quits last night. We're ready to go this morning. So let me go over what we've done. If you've jumped forward to this part of the video, because you're only interested in the Raptor liner, we have prepped the surface. You have to prep the surface no matter what it's going to be. If you're doing underneath, like us, if you're doing the bed, if you're doing the rockers, whatever it might be. The manufacturer, Raptor Liner, says to scuff the surface with 80 to 180 grit sandpaper. We usually do 120. That's worked really well for us on painted surfaces. Got really good adhesion with that. Then the manufacturer tells you to prime any areas that you've gone through to bare metal. Raptor does make a primer. They also make an adhesion promoter. If you've got some places that you can't get into to really stand, you can spray the adhesion promoter on it and it'll help do the job for you. And then they also have some stuff that's supposed to help with rust. So we've gone ahead and we've got everything all ready to go. It's all smooth and nice. And then take a look at that. That is a rolled cone. That is a piece of tape rolled as a cone that goes into those holes that have threads in them. So that will protect the holes from getting Raptor liner in them. If you don't do that, you'll have to chase the threads afterwards. It's a big giant pain in the rear end. It's a mess. So next step is the Raptor liner itself. We've got 2 bottles here that came in a 4-bottle kit. Comes with hardener. This kit came with a gun, and this is the cup that they give you. So you really have everything that you need to be able to do it. Basically, what you do to get one of these bottles ready is you pour 8 ounces of hardener into here. They've got it all marked for you. Then you pour the hardener into here, shake it up, and you're ready to go. The instructions say to use all of the Raptor liner within an hour. The instructions also say to let the Raptor liner dry an hour between coats. So my experience is you get one shot with these cans. I had about half a can left and I saved it and then tried to shoot it right at that 1 hour. It's doable, but it comes out really clumpy, really gloopy. It's got chunks in it. So if you're not overly concerned about the surface quality, the finished quality of the product, then you can do it. I'm not going to because the stuff's not very expensive and I would rather stick exactly with the manufacturer's recommendations than try to stretch the stuff. So we're going to spray it on as heavy as we can, following the instructions, and then whatever's left, we're going to lose that, that bit in the can. That's why we have 2 cans. And then when we go to do the bed and the rockers, we will buy another kit with the 4. We won't need to buy a gun because it comes with the gun, and we'll hang on to this one. Something I want to mention on Raptor liner. Raptor liner, as you'll notice, we have cardboard down all over the ground here, but we don't have plastic all over the place. It's because Raptor liner doesn't overspray. What I mean by that is that it doesn't aerosol and then float around and land on stuff. It does, however, go past what you're aiming for when you're shooting and get on stuff that's behind what you're aiming at. So you can solve that problem 2 ways. One, be very careful with where you shoot or where you point the gun. If you're pointing at something that's, pointing at the truck here, it's not gonna go to either side of it. But if you were like to shoot right here and be aiming this way, then it'll go past it and it'll land on the jack and the, obviously, you need an air compressor to spray this. The air compressor needs to be turned down to between 40 and 60 PSI. If you leave it up at 100 or 120, you'll not get a good finish with the Raptor liner. So the manufacturer specs to turn it down between 40 and 60. I turned down 50 because that's between there. It seems to work really well. So we're gonna go ahead and get this mixed up, and then we'll get the respirator on, and then we'll start shooting. So first coat coming up. Alright, that's the first coat, and check it out, came out pretty awesome. Looking real good. We definitely need a second coat, but all things considered, I think that came out terrific. So go ahead and do the second coat. That took 1 bottle on the outside and 1 bottle on the inside. So far we're 2 bottles in. I think it's probably going to take 1 bottle more to do both the inside and outside, but we've got plenty. So I did have to order some more, but we've got it, and we've got enough to do. We got 4 more bottles. So let's go ahead and put the second coat on it. Alright guys, it's the next day, and this stuff has had a good chance to dry. I want to show you what it looks like now it's been sitting here for 24 hours. Came out pretty good. Now keep in mind, this is getting the regular floor back into it. It's got a, if you guys remember from the video when we took it apart, it has a rubber, it's got backing on it for sound deadening. We're gonna go ahead and put that back in. Just for the sound deadening and because it'll look cool. It was in good shape, but I wasn't super concerned with how this, the evenness of this coverage, since it was going to be covered. I just wanted to make sure that it had plenty of Raptor liner on there. Also, down in this area, I want to make sure that it was nice and heavy because this is where the dirt sits. The seal for the door goes right along here, and as you get in and out of the truck, all the dirt and water and snow and everything else sits down in here. So I wanted this to have a nice heavy coat. So you can see, I think it's easier to see in real life, but you can see how much darker this is and how much heavier the splatter pattern is. And that's because I was super close and I put a lot on there. So that's what happens when you do that. You want to stay and have a nice even distance as you're going by, and keep the gun the same distance away. So you can see right here, nice and even, and then you can see right here where it got a little bit heavier because I got a little too close. So slightly different color and slightly different pattern. So again, for our purposes, we just wanted a crap ton of Raptor liner on there, so I wasn't overly concerned about it. When we do the bed, we're going to be much more careful about how we keep that nice and even, because we're going to want to make sure that that looks good, because you can see the bed all the time. So that gives you guys just a little bit of an idea of what it looks like when you put that in there. But overall, came out really darn nice. I'm really pleased with it. So that's the inside. Here's how we got the corners and everything. That's all good. And then underneath here, came out fantastic. So, okay guys, that is it. We're going to go ahead and call the video. So that's what it takes to put Raptor liner on the cab of your truck. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And for those of you continuing to watch the series, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to let this sit for 7 days. Because in order for Raptor liner to get totally cured, it needs to be 7 days. The instructions say not to put a heavy load onto it for those 7 days. I feel like setting the cab on the frame or shifting it around as we're trying to get it in place will count as a heavy load. So I don't want to accidentally scrape off any of this or damage any of this. So I'm going to let it go ahead and dry for a week. The cab will go back on, and then we're going to start hooking everything up so we can fire the motor up, make sure that everything works before we start putting this thing back together. We're going to go ahead and get it drivable, get the fenders on it, get the front end on it, get everything all finished up in the front, and then that we'll be able to drive it, and then we'll work on the rust on the back for the with the truck once it's driving around, because that'll make life a lot easier around here instead of having a dead player in this corner of the garage. So anyway, that's it guys. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We love you. Peace. Back into place and put it on the Raptor. So this is not a Raptor. I've been working on a video with Jake's truck all afternoon, and it's got a Raptor in it. So behind me is our Project F-250 that we purchased for. The problem, no matter how you look at it, is too much gravity. Is rust, and we've been doing a lot of rust So if we're gonna get this all cleaned up, then we've got to... And cut. All right, that's a wrap, everybody. Nice job, good work. Thanks, everyone. See ya.